Hello, Indrek. Good evening, folks. Hello. Good evening and welcome to tonight. How's it, Ants man? I thought you would be sleeping after today. Didn't reckon you're gonna be up and going, buddy. How's it, folks? We're doing Q&A and we're doing it on a Thursday night because I've been busy and in conference on Wednesday. And the last 2 weeks I've been on leave for a bit. But we are ready to go again and to try and answer some questions. So, good evening to everybody as you come in. I look forward to the next hour and I hope you do as well. Thank you very much. And there I'm getting my coffee. I'll make sure that I show it properly to the camera so that TikTok doesn't think it's something like alcohol. Lovely. And so we see people coming in. How's it, folks? Whoever wants to go and they have a question to ask, you're welcome to. So last 2 weeks, I did not spend time with you. Like I say, I was on leave a bit. Took a bit of a break. Needed to get a bit of a R&R going. And yesterday and today we were in a conference. And hence the reason with the conference last night, there was a supper involved and everything like that. So last night was not possible to do a Q&A with you. And that is why it's been postponed to tonight. So let's see how many people we get to come and say how's it tonight. And let's see what questions we're going to have tonight. Bug, good evening. Andile, good evening. How's it? Renzi, Sinalo, Ma joint, Elna van der Walt, goeienaand. And here we go. Thank you very much, Wayne. Wayne's giving us our first question to start off tonight. Should I buy a property with my inheritance or should I invest? So, Wayne, this is actually one of those questions that it depends on who you talk to, whether you should be investing or buying a property. Now, if you've watched some of my videos, you will know that I'm not the biggest fan of property. I honestly am not. And the reason why I'm not the biggest fan of property is because I have personally dealt with a number of people that's gone bankrupt because they tried to build themselves property empires. And I personally have had a property investment and I battled for years with people renting the property, then not having renters, then people damaging it. It's really a pain in the backside. So if you talk to somebody like me, I will most probably say no. It is better just to invest the money and live off the growth that you're going to earn from it. But it depends from person to person. So when it comes to property, I think the biggest problem for people that wants to invest in property is that they go and buy a property and they bond it to the hilt. Then they want to rent it off and they pay the rent off against the bond repayment. So for 20 years, they're actually in debt. And then only does it become an investment or an asset to them. And now you have to go and play off all those stresses that you have for managing this property, all the expenses that goes with it, whether you're getting your rental income. Like I said, it's managing. It's like running a business. It's like literally running a business. So do you have the expertise and do you have the time, will, and energy for that? Now, personally, I don't. So that's why I would prefer not to do it. Look at my cat. She doesn't like me talking to you guys and not to her. So personally, I don't. I would rather invest my money. I will get a good return on my investment. And I believe that at the end of the day, if you take the return on investment, okay, let's say you get the same return of investment on your property versus your investment. The difference for me, that will make the difference for me, would be the fact that on the investment, I don't have to stress about it. I know that somebody else is looking after it. So I don't have to go through that managing of the equity. I don't have to go and worry about people renting it, paying it, etc., etc. And that emotional equity that I get with the return on investment makes the actual investment for me worthwhile. So like I say, during my career as a financial advisor, which is now 27 years, I have dealt with at least 5 clients that went bankrupt because of property. One client that made it reasonably well with regards to property, he actually sold all 5 of his investment properties about 4 years ago, and we invested the money for him, and he is happier than ever with the returns that he's getting. But more than that, like I said, the emotional equity, he doesn't have to worry about the rental anymore and managing the property. So that's a bit of a long answer, but at least I think that gives you a proper opinion of what I believe in terms of property or investing. Okay, let's see who is next. Good evening, Elsa. Marius Robocop. Mr. Marius Robocop, if you are on the call tonight, good evening to you. Haven't spoken to you in a couple of months, mate. Desi, got used to seeing you with coat and tie. Desi, yeah, you know what? It's while I was now on leave. I had to attend the wedding, and I was the MC on the wedding. So on the day that I was MCing, I got dressed and everything, and I was still waiting for my wife to finish up. So I had some time to sit and make a few videos, and quite frankly, I did not expect the reaction that I got on it, because I've had quite a number of compliments and comments. So thank you, Desi. Old Man Gain, is it a good idea to contribute extra to my pension fund, or is there a better option to grow your funds? So Old Man Gain, first of all, contributing extra to your pension fund is always a good idea. Absolutely a good idea, from a growth point of view and from a tax rebate point of view. Also, the alternative is, if you're not going to contribute to your pension fund, is to take a retirement annuity in your personal capacity. That could also be an option. And then, of course, we've got the life investments, endowments, unit trust, etc., etc. So there's a number of investments that could potentially be a good investment. Now, whether it's going to be good for you in terms of your pension fund, a retirement annuity, or something else, there's a number of factors that needs to be taken into consideration. Number one should go and have a look at your personal pension fund that you have with your company and what the returns is that pension fund is delivering. Some companies or some pension funds I've seen that's been ridiculous in terms of their returns, giving 5 and 6% returns. Now, then I won't put extra money into my pension fund because the returns is just not good. But then there's other pension funds that I've seen that's really given good returns, such as 10, 11%. And people don't think 10, 11% is fantastic, but if you take into consideration that you get the rebate of the premiums that you contribute, it's excellent. So I would think that first of all, one should go and have a look at the actual returns that you're getting with your pension fund to decide if it's a good place to invest. The second thing is with regards to the amount of rebate you get, because remember, you are limited to 27.5% of your gross income that you can contribute, up to a maximum of $350,000 per year to pension funds, provident funds, and retirement annuities. Are you going to get this extra rebate? Are you going to get that money rebate or that tax rebate from SARS? Now, I know you can contribute more and then you get the money at the back end, meaning when you get into retirement. But the idea with contributions to pension funds is to not only get good growth, but at the same time to get the best possible tax benefits. Then there's other things such as, do you have debt? Because what people don't understand is sometimes paying off debt is a better investment than actually investing in an investment. If you are paying off debt where you owe debt with a 14% interest rate, you are saving 14% interest if you pay off your debt, where you might only be getting 10% return on a capital growth plan. So there is a number of things to have a look at. I always come back to the same thing, however. There's a few factors that needs to be taken into consideration that can determine what will be the best investment for you. But at the end of the day, the important thing is to actually just invest. It doesn't matter at the end of the day whether you make use of your pension fund, the retirement annuity, in unit trust, endowment. The one might be a bit better in growth and the other one a bit better in tax, etc., etc. But at the end of the day, you must just invest. So now it's a bit of a long answer, but once again, it's almost impossible to give somebody a straightforward answer just based on the question. One has to look at your personal circumstances. Short answer is yes, it's a good idea to contribute extra to your pension fund. Zero says, Goeienaand, ek weet tax is nie regtig jou lyn nie, maar kan mens tax terugclaim op 2 retirement annuities? So Zero, I'm just going to switch to English because most of the people that normally attend is English speaking and that's the generally accepted language. And Zero, yes, it doesn't matter how many retirement annuities you have, whether you've got 1 or whether you've got 20, doesn't matter. At the end of the day, all the contributions that you make towards your retirement annuities, the companies that you have them with, let's say you do have 20 retirement annuities and it's with Liberty, Sanlam, Old Mutual, 91, Allan Gray, the whole tutti. Each of those companies at the end of the financial year sends a tax directive to SARS in which they say this person has contributed to a retirement annuity with us 3,000 Rand for the year. And each one of them will send such a tax directive to SARS, and SARS will then see, okay, in total, this guy has contributed 60,000 Rand for the year to these 20 retirement annuities, and we can give him a tax rebate on the total contributions of that 60,000 Rand that he's made on all of them. So yes, you can claim tax, or you can claim your rebate, your tax rebate, on more than 1 retirement annuity. And you will therefore get the reimbursement. So in terms of the reimbursement that you're talking about here, Zero, is, and I always try and explain it to people like this. If you earn a certain income, you fall within a certain tax bracket. If you pay exactly 100% the amount of tax that you have to pay, and you are contributing towards a retirement annuity, then at the end of the year, if you were not contributing to the retirement annuity, you will have a equal thing with SARS, meaning you don't owe SARS, so SARS don't owe you. But if you then give SARS this retirement annuity, and you say, I've contributed X amount this year, and SARS says, okay, and you were on a 30% tax rate, then because you submit that and because you paid exactly the PAYE that you would have paid, SARS is now going to say, okay, but we did not take this retirement annuity into consideration. He's on a 30% tax bracket, so choop, Zero, here's 30% of your contributions as your reimbursement. Okay, so you will get that rebate. Marsh says, if a parent opens an RA, wait, hang on a second. If a parent opens an RA for their child and they donate into it, will that donation be, well, that donation that you're talking about, Mash, you can, remember when it's your child, you're looking after them. So if you're paying into a retirement annuity for a child, it's not really a donation. It's not really a gift, it's you looking after your child. So that money, remember one thing, that retirement annuity, because it's in the child's name, the child has to be registered for tax, so to speak. You must do a tax return, or tax return on a yearly basis if you want to claim money back from SARS. If this money is not claimed back, then it rolls over. Even though it is for your child, the contribution still gets taken into consideration for the rebate. But now, because you can't claim it on a year-to-year basis, when that child reaches the age of 55 one day, all those contributions that that child has made, or that you made for the child over the period of time, will now, or can now, be claimed as part of the 1/3. So instead of getting 550,000 tax-free, at that point, the child can now get, say, 1 million Rand tax-free. So a parent can open an RA for their child and donate into it, and the donation will still be tax deductible, absolutely. And this is actually one of the ideas that I tell people to seriously consider. You take out a retirement annuity for your child, you pay it until that child is 18 or 21, leaving the house. That child keeps on paying that retirement annuity. They will be financially so secure, it's unbelievable. As a matter of fact, statistics shows that if you do that retirement annuity or investment up until the age of 18 or 21, and then stop it, make it paid up, but leave it in the investment until the age of 55, 60, you most probably will, just out of that investment, that retirement annuity, have more than enough capital to retire with, and won't even need extra investments in your adult life. So it's a fantastic, fantastic gift. People always worry about a legacy, and I want to leave stuff behind for my children. Man, you start an investment for them like a retirement annuity when they're small, that they can have when they go into retirement. That is a much bigger legacy, financial legacy, than any type of inheritance you can leave them, I promise you. Any case, Stalaki, what is your growth per year plus minus? Stalaki, I don't grow anymore. I'm as tall as I'm going to be. It's just my stomach that grows. Okay, I'm just joking. So in terms of what our growth is, Stalaki, it really depends on the type of portfolio that you want to invest in. If you want to make use of a very safe investment and you want to be in an investment where you know that your money is safe, basically guaranteed, you're going to look at a return on investment of about 7 or 8%. That's it, because that's the type of fund we will be investing you into. If you say you want to go into something that's a bit more aggressive, where you pursue a bit more growth, but you also want some protection, which is more like a medium risk fund, then you start looking at a 9.5% return on investment. And then you get your aggressive investments, where the funds that I like, especially global equity funds, the MSCI funds, show returns of 14 and 15%. So that is just on your traditional investments. Then we start talking about other investments such as crypto arbitrage and alternative investments, which is substantially a higher risk, but where the returns on those investments often surpasses 20 and 25%. So it really depends at the end of the day on the type of investment that you're going to take, how long you're going to do that investment for, how much risk you're willing to take, therefore how aggressive you can invest. Okay, I hope it gets it to you. Pleasure, Wayne. Marsh tax exemption according to section 11. You see, Marsh, that I don't exactly know. I'm not sure what section 11F is. I will have to go and look that up. But yeah, I'm not 100% sure on that. I'm sure when I look at it, I'm going to know exactly what it is. I just don't know all the terminology, all the specifics. Like asking me when did Jan van Riebeeck came to the Cape. I know he came to the Cape years ago, but I can't remember the date. Is it wise to invest in unit trust? Is it wise to invest in unit trust? Let's see who asked that. Sorry, I must just go back and find it. Okay. Mpo, yes, it is wise to invest in unit trust. Mpo, I think anybody should be investing in any type of investment. Unit trust is good, tax-free is good, endowments, retirement annuities, even a bank savings account for emergency funds. There are really numerous types of investment. The important thing is that you start investing. The question you should be asking is not if it's good to invest in unit trust, is unit trust the most favorable investment for me? For you as a person, that can only be determined once one knows what your income is, what your goals are into the future, how long you're going to invest for. All these factors always combines to tell me as a financial advisor a story about what your needs is, and then tells me whether that specific investment is going to be the best for you or not. But yes, investing into unit trust is absolutely wise. Let's see who's next year. Jibo says, any advice for a young advisor still in the academy? Jibo, yes, I'm going to give you some advice. In my profile is my WhatsApp number. Go and send me a WhatsApp. I set up a Teams meeting with you. I tell you about my personal opinion about getting into the industry, what you have to do, what you have to look out for, how easy it is, how difficult it is, etc. The one thing that I can tell you as a young advisor is that getting into our industry is not easy. It is actually pretty hard to get into the industry, but it is absolutely, absolutely rewarding. And the thing about financial advice that any young advisor should know is financial advice is not taking a bunch of information and giving people an answer. Financial advice is all about people. It's about relationships. It's about wanting to help people. It's about wanting to give people peace of mind, to give people freedom into the future to be able to do what they want to do. That's what financial advice really is. And I see a lot of financial advisors that are never successful, and it's because they sell products. They try and sell a policy. And if that's what you're going to do, you most probably won't be very successful. But please go to my profile, send me a WhatsApp. I'll gladly meet with you. I love chatting to young advisors. Quibus says, what investment with low risk and good returns can I invest my third of my pension in? So Quibus, okay, low risk and good returns can I invest my third of my pension? So Quibus, it's going to depend on, in your situation, it is going to depend on how much that 1/3 is. And it's going to depend on what you need that 1/3 for and what you want to use it for. So if the 1/3 is a small amount, I would say you would have to look at putting it into the bank, because it's most probably going to have to double up as an emergency fund for you. If your income is very low in retirement, you can even go and look at unit trust and income funds in unit trust, which is low risk with good returns. The other alternative is if your income is substantial and you don't need the money quite in a short time frame, then an endowment could be a very good investment with a good portfolio there for you. And I wonder how people does this. In any case, but Quibus, most of the time what I find is that when I give financial advice to people, we normally end up with that 1/3 having to do a combination of products for the client, because that 1/3 normally has to double up as an emergency fund, capital growth, and to a certain extension income replacement. So if you need all of that, yes, you can get it all in one product, but you can normally, or you will normally do substantially better by having it into 3 different products. So Quibus, low risk, bank savings accounts, stable funds, income funds, money market funds, all of these are low risk. And the good returns, you're never going to get good returns. That's the one thing you have to accept. On these low risk funds, you're going to beat inflation by 2 or 3% tops. It's never going to be good returns. In order to get good returns, you always have to have a measure of risk in your investment. Okay. Hope it helps, Quibus. Connect with people. Don't jump straight into financial conversation. Zero, I think you're pretty right there with regards to the advice you're giving our young advisor. Kunto Kenti says, great, thanks, bro, for all you do for us, teaching us these things. Oh, Kunto, it's only a pleasure, mate. I really enjoy doing this. I must be honest with you. Stalaki, there is a cap to what you can deduct on retirement annuity fund. Yes, Stalaki, so that cap on what you can deduct on retirement annuity fund, and that's not only on the retirement annuity. Pension, provident, and retirement annuity. If you've got all of those products, or just one of those products, doesn't matter. Law says, between all those products together, you can contribute a maximum of 27.5% of your personal gross income, and that's what you can deduct from a tax as a rebate, up to a maximum of 350,000 Rand. So if your 27.5% is 400,000 Rand for the year, which is pretty possible with people earning 1.2 million Rand a year, then for that person, 27.5%, 400,000 Rand, only 350,000 Rand can be deducted as their tax rebate. The other 50,000 rolls over to retirement, so we don't get that deduction. But at retirement, what happens now is, because I did not use that 50,000 Rand for the rebate, now my 550,000 Rand lump sum portion that I get out of my 1/3 will increase and I will get more than 550,000 tax free. Okay. It's not a rebate. Okay. I'm not giving proper info. Okay, so lucky, if that's how you feel, I'm sorry, mate, but this is the way I understand it. Rather do tax-free savings for a child. Still lucky, I'm not going to argue with you, definitely. Tax-free investment for children is fantastic. I have absolutely no problem with it. The nice thing about retirement annuities is you can't touch it until the age of 55. Okay. Tax-free savings for a child. Moment child is 18, they can access that money and do with it what they want. So here's the thing. If you want to do a tax-free investment for your child, by all means, go ahead and do it. But first, educate your child in financial literacy. Make sure that your child understands how to work with money. Because if your child don't understand it, your tax-free savings investment that you've done for your child is most probably going to be squandered in next to no time, and you are going to be a very upset parent. And you can tell me it will never happen, whatever the case might be. Trust me, I've got years of experience. I have yet to see any child that came into big money, protect that money, use that money wisely. It's normally gone within 6 to 12 months. So that's something very important when it comes to children. Educate children. Masibone, I listen attentively before playing the lottery. Yeah, that's most probably one of the highest risk investments. Old manager, any idea how much money I would need to draw 35k per year as a salary without reducing the capital? Why do you put me on the spot, man? Let me see quickly. 35k per month times 12 equals, so 420,000 per year that you are talking about here, eh? Sorry. I'm sorry. I'm now sitting here doing a calculation while I should be talking to you, but in any case, so 50,000. 50, 8.4 million rand. So you need about 8.4 million rand, okay, if you want to draw a salary of 35,000 rand per month. And the reason why I say 8.4 million rand is because 8.4 million rand is 5% of the gross, is 5% as a drawdown rate. Sorry, it's 5% as a drawdown rate. So I feel comfortable with 5%. I feel that if you have 8.4 million rand and you start drawing a 5% income, then the capital growth that you should get should be at least 9%. And therefore, you will draw 5%, the capital will grow by 4%, and will ensure that next year you can draw 5% again. Now have a bit more than 35,000 rand, and in that manner protect your capital and not reduce your capital. That is what I see as a safe drawdown, income drawdown on capital. If you listen to most economists, they're going to tell you to even go lower and go to 4%, which means that you're going to need another 2 million rand, so closer to 10,200,000 rand. But that's my opinion. These figures varies because you could have as little as 6 or 7 million, draw a substantially higher percentage, and if you can get a growth rate that's even bigger than that to sustain the capital, then it's possible. So the one thing that we should always remember with regards to these things is we work on assumptions. We are assuming that if I'm going to take a 5% income, I'm going to get a 9 or 10% growth rate. At the end of the day, what will make it actually sustainable or not is all dependent on what we can actually get in terms of returns. How to know if a deceased had a life annuity and is it paid out according to the Provident Fact or no? So, Kabomo, number one, if the deceased had a life annuity, there should be records on it, on their bank account statement. One should be able to see the income that's come into the bank account on a monthly basis, because the insurers can only pay it into the bank account. They can't pay it to you cash. So once you've seen that, then you can see which company it is, and then you can approach the company and put a claim in against that life annuity if there's anything payable. And it is not paid out according to the Provident Fund Act or anything else. It's paid out based on either beneficiary nominations or what the person has put in their will, therefore the estate, or if there's no estate, based on interstate law. And then once that has been determined, then the trustees of the fund, they actually decide whether the beneficiary that's been nominated or the family member as per interstate law actually inherits that money. Because when it comes to pension fund money such as life annuities and living annuities and so forth, if the trustees, if the beneficiary, let's say husband has nominated his wife as beneficiary, but what his wife didn't know is that he had a scallopy on the sideline, and she also put in a claim, and she was also financially dependent on this person who passed away. Trustees might be forced, because they have to help everybody, or they have to make a decision on financial dependency. And if they see that this person, although married, had this outside relationship, and that person was also financially dependent, trustees might have to then pay out to both of them in equal portions. But that is dependent on what the trustees' decisions is. It's not an act that decides that. Enlightened Spirit says, any insurances that paid out while still alive in South Africa? Not exactly sure what you're referring to, but yes. If you've got disability cover, severe illness cover, physical impairment, any of those things are payable in the event that the person have a claim for that. And then, of course, all investments, doesn't matter whether it's retirement annuity, pension funds, endowments, unit trust, whatever, all is payable while you are still alive. So yes, absolutely there is. Can I steal? Can you steal what, sir? I don't know. I would not advise it, but suppose you can do whatever you want. Hopefully you will do what is right. Thank you, Mash, for answering the same question. Whoopsie, and there we go again. Sorry. Sorry, folks, let me just see. I've skipped a few here. Okay, let's see. Luther, what are your best performing CIS portfolios? Luther, okay, sorry. Just put in quickly, what is the CIS performance? Are you talking about a unit trust portfolio? Are you talking about a life portfolio? Are you talking about a different type of portfolio? I don't know all the acronyms. I don't know all the abbreviations. So that's why I don't know. But the best performing portfolio that I encourage people to invest in is the Global Equity Fund and the MSCI World Index Funds. Miles says, is SARS defrauding us because lots of people owe it? Mate, if SARS are defrauding us, I don't know about it, but no, I don't think SARS is defrauding us. I think SARS has rules that we don't always like about how and where they collect tax, but that does not mean that they are defrauding us. And stop worrying about SARS. That's what I always keep on telling people. People are so worried about SARS. Oh, it drives me nuts. You should not be worried about SARS. You should be worried about yourself. If you are looking after yourself and investing money and preparing for the future, SARS is going to have absolutely no influence on you. You know what? That the people in South Africa that's on a tax rate of 46%, they don't care about that. What they do is they just invest more and they try and make more money, and they don't care about the tax. It's normally the people that does not invest and that does not try and increase their own income, that always tries to, or that always worries about SARS because they hide behind SARS is taking my money fair. It's not. Any case. Hi, my name is Befil. What is 1/3? Okay, so Befil, when you have a retirement annuity, a pension fund, or a provident fund, when you get to retirement, okay, then legislation says out of that entire fund that you've built up, you can take 1/3 in cash, and the other 2/3 you must use to buy yourself an income with. So let's say, for example, that you've got 3 million rand in your retirement annuity. Then 1 million is your 1/3, and that can be withdrawn as cash. And you can take that cash, put it in the bank, buy a house, invest it, doesn't matter, it's all up to you. The other 2/3, you then have to choose to go and buy a living annuity or a life annuity, as they call it. And this is the income that we talk about that you must go and buy. So you have to make use of a portion of your capital to get an income that will give you an income into retirement, meaning giving you a pension income. So that is what the 1/3, 2/3 is. Okay. On 4 million rand, well, on 4 million rand, you're going to get what? 1,333,333 rand. And then how much of that is going to be tax-free is 550,000 tax-free. The rest is taxable on a sliding scale. And that is also dependent on whether you have or have not taken 1/3 from other funds previously. So there we go, sir. I hope that answers it for you. I love ponies, says Jesus loves you. Thank you very much. I love ponies. I love him as well. Ms. Fufu, how can I access a trust opened illegally? I honestly don't know. I don't know how a trust can be opened illegally. Yeah, so I don't know how a trust can be opened illegally. And now, if you're talking about a trust, I would assume you are talking about a trust that was created in which there are certain assets, etc., etc. Well, then there must be trustees. And those trustees are the people that makes the decision in regards to the trust. So I would say that you have to address the trustees. You should write a letter to the trustees, put out your claims, what your expectations is, what you want to see, know, etc., etc. And if that doesn't happen or doesn't work, well, then the only thing would be to take it the legal route, meaning approaching a lawyer and asking the lawyer to start off by writing a letter to the trust, and then, if necessary, putting charges towards their trust. But yeah, I don't really know how else you're going to access a trust, basically because I don't know how a trust can be opened illegally. Okay, let's see. But Phil says again, I'm working for government. Is it advisable to take the whole amount, or is it better to take 1/3? But Phil, in 99.99% of all cases, according to me, it is better to retire from your government pension fund while you are with the fund, meaning taking your 1/3 there and the 2/3 from the GPF. That is my opinion. Because of the GPF being a defined benefit fund, they work out a formula by which they say this is the 1/3 capital that you get, and this is the income you get for the rest of your life, and it's guaranteed, and it's a better income that you're going to get than you're going to get from anywhere else. If you take the full amount and you withdraw it, you pay tax until it comes out of your ears. You will never, ever be able to make up the income that you would have gotten in the GPF if you withdraw the money and you pay the tax on it. That's number one. Number two is, even if you move your pension fund over from the GPF to another company to retire there, you are never going to get the income that you would have gotten in the GPF. So, according to me, it is always better to retire in the GPF. The guarantees, the income, the 1/3, everything that they offer you there is good. Yes, there are circumstances where it might not be to somebody's advantage, but it's few and far between. And only you can decide it. But I think the important thing is, and this is where the advice always comes in for me, it's important to talk to somebody that can actually do the calculations with you to see what the impact is going to be in terms of taxes, in terms of what you're going to be losing if you leave the GPF. Because remember, if you do leave, then you lose your subsidy to your medical aid. You have to take out new medical aid. So those things need to be taken into consideration. Trust me, most cases, 99.9% of cases, you are going to be better off by retiring at the GPF. The 1/3, different story. You're going to get that 1/3, but that also needs to be planned in investment. But no, don't take everything. Sorry, folks. Well, I don't know. When is a trust rendered the sham? I don't know. That's why I'm saying to you. I honestly don't know how you say it was created illegally. Can't tell you. These are questions you need to answer. If a trust is created, okay, if a trust is created, then assets is put in the trust, and you've got trustees that runs this trust. Those trustees, okay, based on legislation, the trustees can decide what happens with the assets that's inside of the trust. Then you've got beneficiaries, and the beneficiaries, they can only receive from the trust. They don't have any say in the trust. So how I normally like to explain it to people is, a trust is like a bucket of water that you have, or like a cup of water. And underneath the cup, you've got different taps. Imagine 3 different taps down the bottom. And on the side, you've got trustees standing here. So the trustees are the people that decide what happens with the stuff that's in the cup. And if the trustees decide that these people, the beneficiaries, must get something, then they open the tap so that a little bit of it can flow out to the beneficiaries. But the trustees are the people that always decide what happens with what's inside of the cup. The beneficiaries that's at the bottom, they can only receive. They can literally only stand there and hope and wish they're going to get something. They can even ask the trustees for something. But they stand there. But they cannot make the trust or the trustees give them anything. They are absolutely 100% dependent on whether the trustees actually agrees to give them something or not. So that's how a trust works. So if a trust has been created and the assets has been put in the trust, and you've got your trustees, you've got your beneficiaries, for all intents and purposes, it's legal. Because the trustees are not entitled to anything that's in the trust. They're not entitled to anything that's in that cup. The only time the trustees is entitled to anything is if they are also beneficiaries. Okay? But that doesn't make it a sham or illegal or anything like that. So I don't know how to tell you when a trust is a sham. You might have to tell me what the situation is for me to try and understand or find out if it is or not. Okay. BE says, evening, do you have experience and knowledge regarding Liberty medical lifestyle policies? Goodness gracious, this is an old product. Yes, I know a little bit about Liberty's medical lifestyle policies, but it is a pretty old product. It's, as a matter of fact, I think they are still selling it, but I know it's not one of those things that are very, very often sold. It was definitely in the 80s and 90s. It was a very popular product, and most companies had a similar product to this, but not these days. But yeah, my knowledge on those policies are limited. Let me just say that first of all. My knowledge on that is limited. So I can answer very basic questions. I will most probably have to go and read up on it before I can answer you, okay? Mr. Rowan Carolus, good evening, my mate. Mash, okay, I'm a Liberty FA. What's your question? Thank you, Mash. You will most probably be able to answer that question better than me. And Mash, I think you must also contact me. Come and drink a coffee. I need more advisors, mate. Big time. Risk Master says, hi, I'm 42 years old. I have a combined provident preservation of 1.1 million. Any advice? 20% contribution. Risk Master, I don't know what your income is, but if you've got 1.1 million rand saved up at this stage and your contributions are 22%, I think that's an excellent start. I have a combined provident preservation. Well, I'm not sure you've got a combined provident preservation fund, because there's a preservation fund. You can have a provident preservation fund, and then you can have a provident fund. If you have a provident preservation fund, that's where money is lying. You can't contribute to that anymore. Then you have a separate provident fund and you are contributing 22%. So, irrespective, at the age of 42, 1.1 million contributed 22%. I think it's an excellent start for you. I don't know what your income is or anything to that effect, but just based on these figures, it looks like you off to a good start, making sure that you're going to have a comfortable retirement. So yeah, great. Keep it up and do yourself a favor. If you can save even more, invest even more, do so. You will never begrudge yourself. Let me put it that way. The more you invest, because remember what investment does. It creates wealth. Okay. It creates wealth. And the important thing about creating wealth is not only to say that I've got enough money to retire with so that I can have a retirement into the future. What it also does is it buys you time. This is something that we can't create more time, but we can buy time. And what I mean by we can buy time is if you're gonna retire at the age of 65, because your calculations show that that's the earliest you can retire to make it comfortable and make it secure. If you invest enough money that you can actually retire 10 years earlier at the age of 55, you've literally bought yourself 10 years in which you can decide to do other stuff. You might not want to retire earlier, but you might want to say, I'm going to take a month of unpaid leave and I'm going to visit Europe. You buy yourself time, literally. The better you invest and the better you provide for wealth, that's what you do. But Drizzmaster, I think you are on a good wicket. It looks like it. Okay, I'm not going to try and pronounce your name here, sorry. If I can only invest 500k in a tax-free savings account, then I don't think opening it in the child's name is a smart move. Okay, so you must remember, with regards to tax-free savings investments, okay, 36,000 Rand per year per person with a maximum of 500,000 Rand over the term. So you can do an investment in your personal name, and then you can do one in your child's name and each of your children's names. So if you have 10 children, you can do 36,000 Rand in your own personal capacity and 36,000 Rand in each of your 10 children's capacities, okay? So it is a good investment. Make no mistake. I love tax-free savings accounts purely because it's tax-free. All I'm always saying is, with regards to the type of investments, if you're going to open it for your child, I think it's more important than that you educate your child in terms of how to manage finances, how to work with money, than what it is to do the actual investment. You are going to be so disappointed if your child gets to the age of 18. They've got access to those funds because legislation says that they can. and they go and take that money, they withdraw it, and they go and spend it on rubbish. And you have been saving for your precious child all these years, and then they go and waste it. So it is not a bad idea. You can open it, but yeah, it's 36,000 per person per year, maximum 500,000 over a lifetime. Okay. And now, this second part of your question takes away the child's opportunity to have their own tax-free savings, and that is kind of unfair. No. I think you've got it wrong. So if you have done a tax-free savings account for your child, okay, and you have contributed, because it takes about 15 years to fill that 500,000 rand. So let's say you fill that tax-free savings account over a 15-year period, and your child is now 18 years old. Now your child cannot contribute any more to that tax-free savings into the future. You have already saved on behalf of that child all 500,000 rand that the child could have done over their own lifetime. But here is where the magic now comes in. Because you've done it so early for your child, okay, every cent that's been invested, with every cent of growth that you've gotten has been tax-free, and everything into the future, all the growth into the future is also going to be tax-free. Now, your child is going to benefit from the compound growth effect. But where people normally start saving, let's say at the age of 15 and then or 25, and by 40 they filled up their 500,000 rand, and now they're going to have compound growth until they take the money out at 60, so they're going to have 20 years of compound growth. Your child is going to have compound growth if they leave it till 60 or 42 years. They're going to have a massive return on investment on a tax-free savings account. But this is why I say, it's a brilliant product if you're going to do it like this. But your child needs to be educated in the financial discipline of running finances and investment. So you're taking away the child's opportunity to do their own tax-free plan, but you've given them so much more by already doing it for them at a young age. So no, absolutely, from this point of view, I would say it's one of the best things you can do, as long as your child knows how to work with the money. Celeste, do the Scalumpi have to prove financial dependence? Yes, they do. So that's the nice thing that you can know, is that that person has to, when that person, we're talking about the pension fund once again here, who qualifies, who does not qualify, trustees having to make that decision. Yes, at the end of the day, whoever wants to claim. So let's say I have left everything to my wife, okay, but I have got a Scalumpi on the side, I've got an extramarital affair at some point, and I have kids from that extramarital affair. I don't know. I've got the in-laws that hates me, and all of them, everybody that feels that they are entitled can actually put in a claim for those funds that's in that pension fund. But when they do put in the claim, they do have to prove financial dependency. And it's only once they've been able to prove financial dependency that the trustees will even consider paying them something out. Okay, so there you go, Celeste. Oh, Kubama, I'm glad I could have been of help. Whoa, folks, we're not going to get through tonight. I'm sorry, I'm not going to make it through everybody, but let me see how many I can get through quickly. We are 7 minutes from closing up here. Thank you for great advice. My pleasure. What if you never claim from disability cover? Does it just disappear? Yes. So you pay, and your disability cover, depending on type of product it was, which company it was, everything like that, it could stop at the age of 60 or 65 or even later than that. But what would have happened is when you took the policy, the calculations in terms of the premium would have been done up until that age that it stopped. So up until the age of 65. So they price you for your disability up until that age. And then if you do not claim, if you don't become disabled, yes, then it stops and it's over and gone and you don't have disability cover anymore. If you never have a car accident, can you get your premium back? No, you can't, Mash. If you have, we're talking about car insurance here, just short and sweet, folks. If you have a car, you pay 1,000 Rand premium for the month for car insurance. And in that month, if your car is not stolen or it's not in an accident, well, then that's it. The 1,000 Rand doesn't get refunded to you. You're paying the 1,000 Rand to have the peace of mind that in the event that your car is stolen or in an accident, they're going to pay it back. Because if you have that same insurance for 1 month and then they steal your 500,000 Rand car, they have to pay out 500,000 Rand. Now, how will an insurance company survive if they have to pay out for all claims, but when there's no claims, they have to pay money back? That's what insurance is. You are paying for peace of mind. Tom. Waiting period from RA to approved fund on retirement. Tom, that's normally 4 to 6 weeks, approximately, from the moment that you put in your paperwork to have the funds paid out. It's normally a 4 to 6 weeks period from the option that has to be captured on the one side, the tax process to SARS to get the tax-free portions, etc., then the payout to happen, the pricing, everything like that. 4 to 6 weeks is a reasonable time. Anything longer than that, not good. With your car insurance, you get cash back. That's right. Okay, folks, so that's completely something different. Cash back that you get, it's an incentive that the insurer gives you in order to have your insurance with them and to make you loyal to them. But trust me, no matter what anybody says, on all these cashback schemes or whatever, you are paying for it. Trust me, just trust me on that. But I'm sure you can agree that property tax is a scam for owner of a property. Johan, I'm not exactly sure what you mean with regards to that. I don't know if you're referring to the property tax that we have to pay for living in a house and with your rates and taxes on a monthly basis, or you're talking about the capital gains tax when you're selling. But no, I don't think it's a scam. At the end of the day, we have to pay for services, so property taxes make sense there. On the other side, if you have a capital gain, you have to pay tax. It's like that across the world. So I don't think it's a scam. I think, Johan, this is my personal opinion, that sometimes the amount of tax that's involved in that property tax, the amount of tax, that might feel unfair. But it's not a scam. Okay. So it's the same concept. You do qualify for cashback depending on the FSP. Yes, that's correct. I believe just about every company these days have these cashback options. But once again, like I say, doesn't matter which company you're talking about. They can make it look as pretty as they want. The cashback options you are paying for in some way or form. There is just no two ways about it. Let's see. I have an RA with Old Mutual worth 350,000 maturing next year at age 55, and the GPF still 60. Implications? Absolutely no implications for you, sir. If you on the GPF until the age of 60, you're just going to retire as per normal at the age of 60. Your retirement annuity, when it comes to maturity, when you're 55, you can either choose to retire from that retirement annuity, and now you're getting your income that you get for working at the department where you're working, plus you're getting your income from this 350,000 Rand, and you retire as per normal at the age of 60. At the age of 60, if from this 350,000 you've taken 1/3 in cash, then you would have had a portion of your 550,000 tax-free taken already. So it just means that when you go into retirement on GPF and your 1/3 pays out, you get a smaller amount tax-free. But there's no real implications. It's just good. It's good, good, and good. The fact that you have a retirement annuity and is with the GPF is just good, good, and good. And remember, you don't have to take the money next year when it comes to maturity. You can leave it there. And you can decide to keep on paying or not paying. So make your decision then, and yeah, it just means that you're going to be in a much better position. Brombos, do life cover expire after retirement? No, Brombos, it does not. Life cover is in place until the day you die. Doesn't matter if you die at the age of 120, your life cover will pay out. The only time that life cover expires, folks, is if you had a term cover. They call it term cover. Term cover is normally what people take out when they buy a house and they need to provide for the bond. So they choose life cover that's equal to the bond, for example, of, let's say it's a 1 million rand for 20 years for the term of the bond, so that in the event that they pass away within those 20 years, that 1 million rand will pay out and will pay off their bond. And then when they get to the end of the 20 years, now they don't have a bond anymore, and now the life cover falls away because they don't need that, and they haven't died and they don't need it anymore. That's the only time that life cover falls away, is if you had term cover. And if you do take term cover, it will be cheaper than what normal life cover would be, because the insurer only has to cover you for that period of 20, 25 or 30 years. The insurer now knows that there is a possibility that you might survive that period, and then they don't have to pay. So once again, it gets priced in when you decide to take it out. But Brombos, no, it won't expire at retirement. Brombos life goes a whole of life, so they are active until the box goes down. Mash, I love your sense of humor. Casper van der Walt, can you share some insight into tax when going through divorce and assets and money being split? Okay, so Casper, in terms of tax, remember, tax is not my specialty. What I can help people with is with regards to tax rules when it comes to various investment products and life products, etc. So the only time where tax is really involved when it comes to a divorce is when it comes to pension fund money, retirement annuities, pension fund, and provident funds. So first of all, the first thing that is whatever the agreement is between the two parties in terms of their divorce will determine how much the one party must pay the other party. Let's say the husband has the pension fund, the wife is divorcing the husband and claiming 50% of that pension fund. So now, if they come to an agreement that that's what's going to happen, then the wife must get 50% of the husband's pension fund. So, in the event that that happens, 50% is paid over to the wife, and it's paid out in different options, depending on what the agreement is once again. It can be paid over to her into her own preservation fund. It can be paid over into a retirement annuity. It can be paid out to her in cash. So there's no implication for the husband whose pension fund it is in terms of tax, because his 50% just stays there. He's just now lost 50% of his pension fund. That's the only implication. For the wife on her side, if she's moved it over to a preservation fund or to a retirement annuity, there's no tax implications. It moves over tax-free. If she decides to take the money in cash, she pays tax because she's withdrawing the funds with immediate effect. So that is the basics when it comes to that. The one thing is, when it comes to divorce, is people always assume that it's automatic that husband and wife must split those retirement funds 50-50. It's not really like that. It's more about what can be negotiated between the two parties when they go through this divorce proceedings. So in terms of the rest of the assets, Casper, I can't tell you about everything, but yes, there will be cost implications, definitely. If, for example, the house that's owned jointly is now being transferred to just one member, because that 50% value must be transferred. So there will be cost implications there. But there's no real other tax implications as far as I know, because there's no profit or loss situation. It's just a we don't like each other, let's move apart situation. Okay, are you an advisor or just knowledgeable? I love it when you guys start jacking to each other. Mash, I really think we should chat, mate. Can a trustee be a beneficiary on a trust? Yes. AI Hasselhack, a trustee can be a beneficiary on a trust. Jock, hi Correa, it's best to leave your pension fund, move it to a living annuity. Jock, you only move your pension fund money to a living annuity the day that you choose to start taking an income. Okay? If it's in a pension fund and you don't need it, you can either leave it in that pension fund or you move it to a preservation fund so it can keep on growing, keep on accumulating, keep on getting bigger. You only make use of a living annuity or life annuity the day that you say, okay, now I want to start receiving an income. Okay, so while you want the money to grow, it's better to leave it in the pension or preservation fund. When you want an income, that's when we go life or living annuity. Folks, I am basically 5 minutes over time here, and there is so many questions coming in tonight. I'm most probably going to sit you all night if I don't close up now. Early retirement, the government is age 55. Is Alan Gray bad? No, Alan Gray is good. If you cancel RA, can you draw any funds? Depends on how old you are. Are endowments included in the deceased estate? Only if there is no beneficiary nominations. If there is a beneficiary nomination, it pays out directly to the beneficiary. Cashback is your own money, exactly. Do you work for Old Mutual? Well, kind of. I've got an Old Mutual franchise and I've got an independent brokerage. So I've actually got two. Which one is better, having two RAs or increase premiums to the existing one? If you've already got one, it's most probably best to just increase that one. But if you've got an old one and you can make use of a new generation product where you can get all these bonuses and whatever the case might be, then maybe it's better to do that one. Just depends on what's going to work for you. Alan Gray is good. Any advice on investment pays a monthly one for part of capital should grow. Well, that's going to be life. No, there is no investment that you can pay monthly for that will not form part of your estate. Wait. Any advice for an investment that pays a monthly that won't be part of an estate capital growth? Oh, there you have to start going to international investments. Okay, if you want an investment that grows and gives you an income, but does not form part of your estate, you have to start looking at international investments. That's as easy as that. You can make use of endowments and beneficiate it and make sure that you do not pay estate duty on the endowment. Are all pension companies work the same? If not, why aren't they governed by the same laws? So pension fund rules are the same, okay? Pension fund rules are the same for all companies in terms of when you can take it, how much you can take, etc., what the tax implications is, all of that. The only difference between pensions, you must retire from their pension fund at the age of 60, and the next company can say from the age of 63, etc. So companies can have different rules on their pension funds for the members working for it, but no pension fund rules across the board is the same for everybody. Yes, it was less than 35k, but to draw it, Sia says, can you touch the deceased estate and executive fee for someone who wants to do a will with... Can you touch on the deceased estate and executive fee for someone who wants to do a will with Old Mutual? I don't know what there's to touch on, Sia. At the end of the day, if you do a will, there's always going to be executive fees. There might be estate duties payable depending on how big it is. You can do it through Old Mutual Trust. You can do it through whichever. I prefer to do almost through a private lawyer. At the end of the day, if you do a will, there's always going to be executive fees. There might be estate duties payable depending on how big it is. You can do it through Old Mutual Trust. You can do it through whichever. I prefer to do almost through a private lawyer. Next week, I was supposed to do this evenings. I did not realize I have. So next week, we will do this again on Thursday night. Until then, keep well. I'm really can't get to all of you tonight, but you are more than welcome to send me any questions on the WhatsApp number in my profile. Trust me, it might take a day or two, but I answer everybody that sends me a WhatsApp. I promise you. Until next week, Thursday, keep well. All the best. Bye-bye.